Hello, my friends. This is Amir sending lots of love from my home in Binyamina on Mount Carmel, where I have the good fortune to still have breath in my lungs. The case is not the same for an older couple in their 70s in Ramat Gan who lost their lives last night to a bombardment from the Iranian regime. And so I take a deep breath of gratitude to my Creator and share the following message with you. This morning I arose and woke my little girl Gaia, sat her in front of the computer for her morning Zoom class. We're back to the days of Corona where kids are getting their education on screens, and sadly she gets to parlay with her peers online for half an hour of brilliant non-education, excuse the sarcasm, but what I heard both broke my heart and warmed my spirit. These little kids went around on Zoom sharing where they were last night when the sirens went off. And this one was with his mom, and this one was with her dad, and all these little children in Israel are sharing with one another their different experiences of resilience and hitmodedut, how they are able to cope with the noise and the sound and the bombs that are falling around us. And Gaia, my daughter, spoke up when it was her turn and said, I was home with my dad in the shelter. Thank God we have each other and we have a shelter in our home, which is not the case for a third of Israel. And she said, my mom was out. And she was doing her sauna ice bath routine that we're lucky enough to pull off every now and then at our local hippie hangout. And Gaia mentioned that her mother was caught outside, unable to get to a bomb shelter, and had to pray. That was her defense mechanism. My beloved Devra was outside and unable to get to the shelter, and my daughter understood the implications of this all too well. That God forbid a bomb would fall in the right place at the wrong time, she would be without a mother. And she shared this with her class in her 9-year-old youthful voice. And part of me cracked a little, and part of me also could appreciate the fact that these children are able to share with one another their experiences and to be able to verbalize, albeit on Zoom, part of their struggle as children of Israel in times of war. But I also want to bring your attention to her father, who's sitting next to my daughter as she's going through her morning routine. And I said, you know what? I haven't wrapped tefillin today. It's the perfect time. And so I wrap my prayer straps around my arm and place the prayer scrolls in between my eyes, as I've been commanded to do for thousands of years that the Jewish people have carried out this ritual. And my daughter, of course, looks up and sees me wrapping. And it was a pleasant reminder for her of the tradition that she binds herself to, and that her father in front of her binds himself to. I'll be honest, I have not been praying and have not been wrapping tefillin for the last few months. I've been going through one of my typical roller coaster crises of faith, and as the bombs start to fall, there's nothing like a good old war to remind us that maybe it's not a terrible idea to pray to God and get your soul in check. And so I prayed. And my daughter speaking to her classmates, talking about the bombs and the sirens and where they were at what time, and her mother who was left exposed without a shelter. And I'm sitting there wrapping straps around my arm to pray and provide shelter for my soul, that hopefully an aura that covers our body and soul with a divine protection can do just that and protect my soul and my body and my child and my family. This is Israel in 2026, 2.5 years into a war that has been painful. These kids have grown up knowing little else. She's a child of Corona, and she's a child of the October 7th massacre, and she's a child of the first Iran war and this latest round of an up and down, topsy-turvy reality that children in this part of the world must endure. And it's tragic and somehow almost poetic. It's part of our reality, whether you're in Iran or Gaza or in Israel, to have to figure out both physically how to survive a war, emotionally how to survive a war, and intellectually to grapple and hopefully understand and comprehend things that are too dynamic for a 9-year-old to have to understand. I barely understand it, and I eat this stuff up like no other. I'm constantly tearing through my political pundits and podcasts to be able to understand the implications of shipping lanes and 32 miles of the Strait of Hormuz and which percentage of the Iranian shipping and oil capacity attached to them. This is dynamic stuff. And sometimes as I zoom in on the implications of how many volleys of planes left Israel and which aircraft carriers of the United States are parked where in order to be able to attack my enemies in Iran, I have to zoom out and remember that as a father, my utmost responsibility is to my child. And as an intellectual, sometimes stepping away from the bombardment of media and news allows me to comprehend things on a much more cosmic level and not just on an analytical level, as I often do. And so just like my wife last night, who was trapped outside in the ice bath, I went this morning and did an ice bath and sat in the sauna and took deep breaths and said my prayers and thought of my daughter, and I thought of my country, and I thought of my nation, the Hebrew people from across the world who are all experiencing this war in different ways. It's a strange war for us when the bombs are falling, and looking up above my house as there's a crazy image of interceptors and Iranian missiles exploding over my household from last night's bombardment. And to step away from that reality for a second and look after my mental health, I was able to pray this morning. I was able to cuddle and wake my daughter from her good night's sleep because she's sleeping these days in a bomb shelter. I was able to listen in on little children in their Zoom classroom talking about where they were and how they were, and seeing that their little voices are able to resist the fear and to share with each other and to support one another in a way that is tremendous, that children can do that sometimes we adults are incapable of. And so I simply pray, as I did this morning, for peace, for my enemies to be vanquished so that there can be peace, because whether it's in Gaza, there will be no peace as long as Hamas is still in power, and they are still very much in power. And there cannot be peace with Iran unless the Ayatollahs come crumbling down and the people of Persia can once again raise their voices and the lion can roar for freedom. This is what I pray for when I wrap tefillin in the morning. And this is what I pray for when I tuck my daughter in at night and say the Shema prayer. And this is what I pray for when I take those moments for myself of calm, simple, quiet breathing, that maybe tomorrow will be a better day than today. L'chaim to life, my friends. From Shalom, Carmel, to you all around the world. This is Amir Katz signing off. Salut.